Today we're talking about 10 awful workouts that will make your cardio next level, that will allow you to win those fights where you're against somebody who just has that killer pace, or if you're in a title fight where you know you have to go those extra rounds. These are the drills that I have used to ensure my cardio is top notch. Now, one of the questions that I get most often on this channel is, Gabriel, aren't you worried about giving away your secrets? Don't you think that this is going to help your opponents in the future? And yes, I guess that is a possibility. But the way I look at it is most people, even the high-level guys, are not brave enough to do the workouts that I'm doing. These are scary, scary workouts. So I'm actually putting this together because one of my training partners has a big title fight coming up in the future and wanted to know what I use to make my cardio so good. But in terms of me being worried about future opponents using these, probably not. Most high-level guys have their own routines. They're not looking at other people to add more information in. That's just my experience talking to people. They have their set routine. And even if they are looking at this, a lot of people aren't going to be brave enough to try it anyway. So if you guys are wanting to take it next level, you're wanting to push, or you're just wanting to see what I'm doing to take that cardio up to that superb level, stick around. I have 10 workouts, which I'm going to write down for you, break down right now. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of these are running routines. That's one of the things that I really emphasize in my training camps, is making sure that 5 days a week I am doing awful runs, terrible runs, ones that nobody else wants to do. And yes, you know, you might argue that a 10K run is hard in its own way, but it's not hard like these. These are the ones that are like a fight, where you have 20, 30 seconds where you're grinding as hard as you can. You get your heart rate up to like 200 and then it goes back down, but then immediately it's going back up. So we're gonna start off, and I've talked about this before. We're talking about soccer field sprints. And what that means, what that looks like, is if I have a soccer field, and that's it right there. You're going to sprint the length of the soccer field as fast as you can. That's as fast as you can. And then you're going to jog the width. That is one. And you're going to sprint the length, and then you're going to jog the width. That's two. You're going to do that 10 times, and that is not the only workout, but that's the hard part of the workout. That's the part that's really going to grind. And that is about a 7-minute drill in my experience. It takes me 7.5 minutes to get the whole thing done. Now, when you finish the first sprint, your heart rate should be going crazy. And then you have the recovery time. And then you go back to sprinting, kind of like, you have 10, 15 seconds where you're just grinding away, and you back away for a moment and maybe have a 20-second break. And once you get to about sprint number 7, in my experience, the recovery time is almost not enough. When you get in good shape, it is, but it's almost not enough to get ready for the next sprint. And that's what we want. We want to push our body past the comfort zone. So this, guys, is routine number 1. At the end, I'll explain what a whole routine looks like what I do for my warm-up, my cool-down. Is this the only hard thing I do? We'll go through all that. So stick around to the end of the video. But in terms of the really mean part of the whole routine, this is it. This is number 1. The next mean cardio drill that I put myself through is 800-meter sprints. And I will explain to you how I stumbled on this and why I do it. I was watching, I want to say, a 24/7, those cool videos that HBO was putting together, and it was centered around Canelo fighting somebody. And they were showing a clip of Canelo sprinting a straightaway of 800 meters, and then they would give him a minute break. His coaches would give him a minute break. Now, he was doing something like 6 of these because he's a boxer, and he's going longer, many more rounds than I am. But I was very interested in his running time. And in the 24/7, they go, oh, wow, he just finished one. They're like, oh, record time, good for you. And I think it was something like 3:06 or 3:10. And that got me thinking, oh, I wonder how fast I can run. So what I do, again, after I've done my warm-up and all that kind of stuff, is I head to the track, and we have our circle, something like that. And wherever I start, right there, I do 1 sprint, 2 sprints, and I stop there. When I stop there, I take my minute break. Now, in my experience, 3 minutes for me is fairly slow. Now, I'm not like Canelo, again, where I'm doing 6. I'm only doing 3 times. So I go around 2 times as fast as I can. For me, a pretty normal sort of score or time for those 2 is about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And then I do my second one. On my second one, a lot of times I find my time goes to kind of like 2:53. And then I do my third one, a lot of times it's around 2:55. Now, ideally, you want these numbers to stay as low as possible. You don't want to start at like 2:40 and then have your last one be something like 3:30 because you burnt yourself out. You don't want that happening in the fight. But this is one of those routines where I go and I can just do this after my warm-up, I can do my cool down, and if I can keep all of them sub 3, all of them under 3 minutes, I am quite happy with that. And I go, okay, you know what? I'm in pretty good shape. And I think that's a good indication if I am fighting a 3-round fight that I'm ready to go all 3 rounds. Now, question that you might have is, if I'm fighting a 5-round fight, should I do 5 rounds? Well, I've never bothered with that. I go, this is hard enough, especially with the fact that it's not the only part of the full routine. I have other things I add in, but again, we'll go through that at the end. So just do 3 of them, push the pace, your heart rate should be high, your legs should be burning, and it will give you a massive edge in just that ability to keep going and going and going at one consistent pace, whereas our last drill was fast and slow and fast and slow. This one's just consistent. Try this one out. It is a destruction on the legs and the heart. Let's quickly move away from running. We have more running routines, but I want to break it up. And let's talk about number 3. This is the number 3 thing that I do to myself. When we're doing pad work, most people go, okay, you know what? I'm fighting 3 minutes and I get a 1-minute break. And they go, okay, that's what I'm going to do on my pad work. But I've always, even since I was an amateur, done the exact opposite. Not the exact opposite, but very different than that. I go, okay, we're doing a 3-minute round plus 1. 4 minutes on the pads, 4 minutes every time. I never bump it to 5 minutes like in Thailand, they do 5 minutes. 5 minutes, I find you're going to pull back on the pace. You're not going to go as hard on the pads because you know it's that extra 2 minutes and you just can't maintain. But I do my 4-minute round like it's a 3-minute round. I push the same pace. Now my break, we're going to times that by 0.5 or make it a half, and now we have 30 seconds. All right, when I do my 30 seconds, it's very hard to recover fully, especially when you're pushing hard. And then the other thing I do, I always do 5 rounds. Always 5 rounds, doesn't matter if it's a title fight or not. But if it is a title fight, plus 1 round, so we have 6 rounds in total. And that is how I make sure that when I get into the fight and I'm doing 5 rounds at 3 minutes, I'm actually used to doing 6 of them. But that minute break, I'm used to only having half of that time. And that really helps because by the time the bell rings, you walk back to your corner, and then you have that 10 seconds out bell, your 1 minute isn't really 1 minute. So for you to think in pad work that you get a full minute break, that's naive. Take 30 seconds, that's the important part of this. Again, if you're doing amateur fights and you're doing 2-minute rounds, you should be bumping it to 3 and still taking that 30-second break. I have been doing this in my pad work routine, I believe since 2007 is bumping into my head is the first time I implemented this. I believe it was a title fight. Amateur world title fight defense, because in the fight before I found I got more tired than I wanted to, so I added this in and it has made so much difference being part of my whole routine. All right, on this one we're going to move away from the running and we're going to move away from the pad work or the sparring or anything like that. We're going to head into the gym. Now this is a drill that one of my strength trainers, I don't do a lot of strength training, but I've had a guy who helped me throughout the years, and this was something he had me do because he knew that cardio was a massive aspect of my training, and he wanted me to push the muscles to fatigue, but also get the heart rate crazy, crazy high. So this routine looks like this. I do this every training camp, usually closer to the end, to check and make sure that my heart rate and everything like that is up to where I need it to be. So we start off and we do 20 jumping jacks. Then from there, we do 15 push-up burpees. It's already sounding pretty mean, I know. And then from there, we're going to get the idea here. We're going 20, 15, down to 10 kettlebell swings. And I believe on those I was using, I think it was a 35. It might have been a 40 pound, but I'm going to put down 35 right now, just in case I was wrong. And then from there, 5 pull-ups. Now, that by itself, you might go, that's not so bad. I could do that. Well, of course you could. Anybody can do that, I hope. What you're doing on this drill to make it awful is, take a look at this. 10 times with no break. The first time I did it, the basic rule was it needs to be sub 20 minutes. As soon as you hit that 20-minute timer, you're cut off. And you look and you see how far you made it. So for example, if I've gone through this 7 times already, and maybe I'm in the middle of my kettlebell swings, and the 20 minutes runs out, and you're like, oh shoot, well then you go, okay, I made it to round 7, kettlebell swing number 6. But for me, the very first time I did it, it took me about 18 minutes. Breaks are up to you. I find that I end up taking a break usually around round number 7. I run over, I get a sip of water, I run back. I try to minimize my break time. I try to have everything fairly close. For the jumping jacks, I go right beside, or the same area where I'm doing my burpees. I have my kettlebell right beside me, and I have the pull-up bar as close as I can, because I'm on the clock here. Let's talk about my best time. Best time. My best time ever was right around 15 minutes. 15 minutes, I've been told that is a demolishing time. Like, that is just putting this exercise to shame. And I had to work on that because, like I said, I started at 18. I had one of my students one time getting ready for a fight. I've only had a couple students who ever competed, but he was getting ready for a fight. I put him through this routine and he didn't complete it. I think he made it to like round 9 before the 20 minutes was up, and he almost threw up. He had to run to the washroom and not throw up. So getting this kind of time is amazing. If you can even get in there and finish it, that is again spectacular. This is just a go, go, go. Fast as you can, chest to the ground on each push-up burpee, kettlebell swings, explosive through the hips, and the pull-ups, chin over the bar, and then you go right into the next one. Destruction on the heart, always one that I do at the end of training camp to make sure I can keep it around that 15-minute mark. Next exercise, guys. I believe we are on number 5. And we're moving into treadmill. I have a number of treadmill workouts. The reason I like treadmill workouts is they keep you honest. It's very easy on the first one that we did, where we're talking about sprints, to sprint the length, jog the width, maybe you do 6 of them, and you start to ease off on your sprints. You're not being honest with yourself, especially because there's no time. The treadmill keeps you honest. You just put on a certain speed and you go, and you have to see if you can make it. So this one is something I've been doing on the days where I wake up and I go, shoot, I don't have a whole hour running me, but I need to do something super mean, super fast, just get this workout done so I can go back to recovery and make sure later in the day or tomorrow I've had extra time to recover. So this one here, very simple, 10 miles per hour for 10 minutes, no break, straight through. See if you can do that. I find a lot of times that this pace is fairly substantial. Now, keeping in mind that the guys who are running those marathons are keeping a pace of 12 miles per hour. So 10 miles per hour compared to them is not that fast. But still, for me, I go, this is a fast pace. And one of the biggest issues is seeing that clock, that little clock ticking away in front of you on the treadmill. Psychologically, it can break you. If you look down and 3 minutes in, you're already hurting. So I take a piece of tape and I cover it up. I put my headphones on, I listen to 3 songs, 2 or 3 songs, and then I'm super tired. They need to be super motivational songs. Usually in the last couple of minutes, I rip the tape off. I look, I'm like, oh shoot, a minute and a half left. Or oh shoot, 30 seconds, and I'm able to go through and just not focus on the time, constantly looking at it, because it can demolish just your motivation. If you look down and go, oh boy, I'm only 4 minutes in, I still have 6 minutes left and my legs are already burning. Try this one out. You don't need to do too much in this whole routine. I usually start off with maybe a 5-minute warm-up, do a couple of little warm-up sprints on the treadmill, and then I do this little cool down so your legs don't fill up with lactic acid, and that is it. You can get this whole routine done, all said and done, within about 25 minutes with the warm-up, the cool down, the stretching. It is one of those drills, or exercises, workouts, which is perfect for those days when you're just feeling you don't have a whole hour in the gas tank. All right, guys, we're halfway through all these mean exercises. Who hates me so far? Who's going, oh God, Gabriel, I don't want to do any of these. Well, if you have the motivation, you feel you have the motivation to try any of these, congratulations, because like I said, not many people do. Most people are too scared of the pain which these exercises will bring. Next up, we are talking about band sprints. And this is something which my brother introduced me to, which is just awful. You get a big, thick rubber band which goes around your waist, and you need a partner for this drill. They hold the band, and you run forward as fast as you can while they resist. This one is not so much like trucking forward slow, it's pumping and driving the knees up. You do 30 seconds of running as far as you can with those knees pumping. 30 seconds. You take a 30-second break and you do that 3 times, which will equal a 3-minute round. That is 1 round. And you need to make sure, if you're competing, you do 3 of them. What you can do on this drill to start off, because doing the 30 seconds destroys you. It absolutely destroys you. It might not seem like it would, but with somebody behind you pulling and trying to stop you from going forward, 30 seconds can demolish you. So when I'm in the beginning of training camp, I do 20 seconds. I'll do another 20-second break. And then I go back, I'll do that a few times, make my round, which is obviously going to be shorter than 3 minutes. That's fine because you will build up. And you can get to this drill, if you can get through and make 3-minute rounds, and obviously you need to warm up, you need to cool down, but you don't need a whole bunch of other stuff with this one. Again, it's a fast, short, explosive workout, which will demolish the heart, and it's just, that's what we're looking for. Try this one out, guys. Just, you need a nice thick band, something that's not gonna snap when you start sprinting. All right, guys, let's head back into the gym and let's talk about sparring. Because a lot of times when people are getting ready for a fight, they just go in and they jump from person to person, just a normal training session, normal class, and you just do your sparring. But what I've done when I have a fight coming up is we call it Shark Tank, but a lot of people call it the Gauntlet. I like Shark Tank more, personally. So when we Shark Tank one another, what you can do instead of just having, you're right here, get your little gloves on. So that's you, and you have one training partner over here, and another training partner here, and another training partner here. So maybe you have 3 guys who are working with you. Now what most people do is they have this guy come in and do a round, and this guy come in and do a round. But what I do is going to make things a little bit meaner, because if you have great cardio, you can very often tire out this guy within 2 minutes. If you're doing 3-minute rounds, you can tire that guy out. So at the end, you're sort of the guy who's dominating. What I like to do is this guy comes in for the first half a round, does half a round, and then this guy jumps in for a half a round. And then I take my break. And then this guy jumps in for half a round, and that guy jumps in for half a round. You don't even need 3 sparring partners, you just need 2. And they just alternate, so they're only ever working 1.5 minutes. And then they get a nice long break, especially when you add in the minute break, which I would take as just my rest and recovery. So this is a fantastic way to not only push yourself with fresh opponents, but fresh opponents in between rounds, not just fresh opponent every round. This one here is guaranteed to make you more tired. If you can out cardio both guys, you're next level, or you need to get a better sparring partner. So this is something you guys can add in to just take your sparring to the next level. All right, moving on, we are now back to our treadmill, and we are talking about full speed, full incline on that treadmill. So what you need to do, you need to take the treadmill from there, you need to ramp it up to 15-degree incline. For most treadmills, that's as far as it will go. You put the speed at 12 miles per hour. That, for most treadmills, is maxing out. Some of them go faster than that, but I wouldn't even bother because with that incline and with that speed, it is just a struggle to stay on. When you get on this treadmill, keep in mind, this is not for somebody who's not crazy fast. If you're crazy fast and you can keep up with this thing just trying to shoot you off, then that's fine. So what we're doing is we're jumping on and we're doing a 15-second sprint. Now, you're gonna do 10 of them. 15 seconds, and you're gonna go 10 times. Now, the break is up to you because the last thing you want is to be on this treadmill and go, oh my gosh, it shoots me off. So when you're on for 15 seconds, ideally 15-second break, but in the middle you might need to go up to 20-second break. And then at some point you might need to go up to a 30-second break. The idea being take the least amount of breaks as possible, but make it through all 10 rounds at full speed, full incline. You keep your hands on the bars, you brace, you start pumping your leg, and then you just get on and charge. And for me, it's pretty much 100%. I'd say I'm running about 95% speed just to make sure I don't get thrown off. Be very, very careful on this exercise. As you guys can see, I have a whole variety of things, exercises that I like to utilize. I don't like doing the same routine. I know some people would say something like, you know, just go run your 10K. Do your 10K every day, that's enough. I don't believe that's enough. I don't believe there's enough variety. I don't believe it shoots your heart rate up and down. Now this next drill is one that I used when I was getting ready to fight Lordzilla, when I just went, okay, you know what? I want to be able to push for 3 minutes and go through 3 minutes of hell, pretty much, to get myself ready. So again, on the treadmill. Treadmills are some of my least favorite routines, just because there's no escaping it. So similar to the last one, we put it up at a 15% incline. For speed, we are going to be going at 8 miles per hour. Not nearly as hard as the last one, but the trick on this is we have to make a whole 3-minute round on this treadmill. I have done this successfully about 2 or 3 times. All these drills scare me, legitimately. When I go to do them, I actually have fear. Like sometimes I get a little sweaty beforehand because I know how awful they are. I know how terrible I'm going to feel while I'm doing them. But this one here is obviously not just by itself. You have a whole other routine you do, and then you finish off with this. Probably half an hour before. But again, I'll go through at the end other exercises that I do to make a full routine. And finally, guys, this is probably the easiest exercise of everything, but it is one I do every training camp, so I'm going to put it down. I do. Let's see here, I'm just drawing. Okay. I actually have a YouTube video on this already, so if you want to follow along, I'll put a link up there and you can just follow along. But if you just want to write it down right now, you can do that as well. We go burpees. And then from burpees, we follow with straight leg sit-ups. And then from there, we go into mountain climbers. Now, all that by itself is fairly simple, but what we do to make this challenging is we do 15 seconds of each of these. 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15-second break. 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30-second break, 45, 45, 45. And once we've done our 15-second round, our 30-second round, our 45-second round, we finish with a 1-minute round. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, and then we are done. This is another one that I like to utilize at the end of training camp, pushing myself as fast as I can on the burpees, consistent pace on the sit-ups, and as fast as I can on the mountain climbers to see if I can make it through and not waver, not give up, not decrease my pace of work rate. So this is another one which you guys can try, and like I said, you can just follow along with me on the YouTube video if you prefer. Now finally, guys, let's talk about a whole routine, because you might be going, okay, the soccer field sprints, the number one that we talked about today. Okay, yeah, that's hard, but it's not long enough. So let's walk through what I do for a full routine. This would include the 800-meter sprints. If I'm on a treadmill, I would just convert this into something else. So usually I'll start with about a 2-kilometer warm-up jog. Just chill. If I'm on a treadmill, same thing, you know, just maybe whatever that is, 5-10 minute warm up. Then I'll do some warm up sprints, usually 4 of them, just 4 warm up sprints where I just increase the pace a tiny bit. Then from there, I'm going to pick what exercise of the day I'm going to do. So if I was doing my soccer field sprints, I do those. If I was going to do my 800 meter track day, I do those. If I was on the treadmill, maybe I'll do my 2 kilometer warm up on the treadmill. I'll do my 4 sprints, and then I'll do one of those treadmill routines that I talked about. Now, very often from there, I'll finish off with some sort of, I don't know, maybe 10-minute, fairly fast-paced jog, just to make sure that I don't let the lactic acid build up too much. Overall, most of these routines are not that long. You can go and get an awful workout, terrible awful workout, in less than probably 45 minutes. Now, when I say 45 minutes, I'm talking about the actual work time. I'm not talking about this stretching. You want to add the stretching in pre and post workout. You utilize that to make it sort of a whole rounded hour workout. Probably about that. I would say it is the whole routine in total. These exercises, guys, are the things that will take you next level. These are the ones that I have been using for the last 10 years. Again, I pick and choose, I mix and match, and I try to make sure that throughout the week, I don't do one of these routines more than once. And I'm constantly surprising my body, challenging my body, and I'm not doing things where I become complacent and comfortable. And I find that's the key to really getting a very, very strong heart and being able to push through the fight. So I hope you guys found everything we talked about today helpful. I hope some of you guys are actually brave enough to try some of these routines in your next event, or even if you're not competing, just to go out and try something. These soccer field sprints, I would definitely recommend that one. Start off with 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, you work your way up to 6. Maybe next time you do 7. Maybe a couple weeks later you go and you do 8. And you just build up bit by bit. These are going to challenge you. They're going to make your heart pump like they've never pumped before. But what you want to do is constantly improve. That's what this is all about. Improve and take that ability, that skill level, that athleticism to the next level. Guys, if you enjoyed this massively long breakdown of all the awful things I do to myself, please give the video a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. And as always, guys, train super hard. I'll see you back here soon for another video.